on this episode of Potages.
But Nokia is just like, like I don't care.
I need your password. You can use mine to get on the internet.
Potages. Welcome to Potages, episode 011, A Kernel of Sleuth.
Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, First Impressions.
Recorded February 13th, 2016.
Potages is your critically nostalgic analytical tour through the Digimon anime, usually. I'm Jeff Ruberg, and I'm joined by Ashley McDonald.
I'm a Cyber Sleuth. You should have put that before my name.
And Andrew Softman.
Another Digimon invited me to try out this Digiline thing. Do people enjoy this?
No, nobody enjoys the Digiline.
Is that an actual line? Because no. And Andrew Softman is abstaining. Wait, did I say that
yes,
right?
Yes, you said Andrew Softman.
Okay. And Asher Softman is abstaining because he has not played the game yet. Or ever. He has not played the game.
I'd be worried if it was me because I'm kind of playing the game right now.
Maybe there is a copy of you that's a half digital, half physical body that's playing it, and your real body is stuck in a medical ward somewhere, not playing it. That's probably what's happening.
I am scared now. Is there a cure?
I don't know. I haven't played that much to find out.
Probably not.
So we're only talking about our first impressions, our initial impression of the game, because although I think, so I've played for 20 hours now, and Ashley, how many hours have you played?
8.
And Andrew?
I don't know, but I think it's about 20 as well.
I feel kind of weird being like, first impressions after 20 hours. Like that's a long number of hours to play before, and still only have first impressions. But I feel like both from what I've played and what I've heard people who have finished the game say, the story is such an integral piece of it that I feel like it's pretty crucial to get to the end of the story.
How many hours have these people who finished it played? Like 60?
No,
100?
only 250, I think. No, I think it's like 40 hours.
I've played 20 and a half hours.
That's about where I am. Yeah, I mean, it is, one of my first impressions is it is much longer than I expected it to be. I guess I didn't really know how many hours I expected going into it, but yeah.
I don't know, the DS games were pretty long.
Yeah, the only DS, so another thing to set my expectations and my reaction to a Digimon game, the only other Digimon game I played is Digimon World DS, which was actually the first birthday present that Ashley gave me.
Aww.
Oh, although she insisted it wasn't that she gave me the DS itself. And I'm like, no, Ashley, the game was from you, the DS was from other people.
It was a collaborative effort between our poor friends to find you these things.
You coordinated the purchase of the DS.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like saying it's a long game usually has a much more positive impression. Like this being a long game, I feel like is not entirely in its favor. It doesn't feel like a game that's like, oh, it's so expansive and I'm so excited to explore everything. It's like, I want to get to the story, but the story is taking quite a long time. That's just my impression.
I don't know. It's like, yeah, the first 3 hours, I'm like, there are like no Digimon in this.
Oh yeah, the first like play session or two that you did, like you were just like, there are no Digimon. I don't understand this. Why don't I have Digimon?
Yeah, like I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of front-loaded story in that regard, and yeah, eventually it opens up, and then it's mostly Digimon with occasional story beats. So the first category I want to talk about was gameplay. And yeah, I basically went in not really knowing what to expect from the gameplay at all, especially having only played one Digimon game. I can't remember the mechanics of Digimon World DS too much.
Well, Digimon World DS was the original Digimon Story game.
Right, which I felt conflicted looking back. Like looking back, I was like, oh yeah, that was a Digimon World game. There wasn't much story to it. And then I noticed that like actually in Japan it was Digimon Story. I'm like, oh, I guess there was a story, and it was just kind of, I don't remember it at all because it wasn't that great.
All the DS game storylines aren't too memorable, but yeah, they weren't that memorable.
Yeah, it was like fine while I was playing, but yeah, I remember reading a review at the time of that game, and it came up before I think the first Pokemon DS games, and the review is basically like, it'll tide you over until those come out. And yeah, that's my last impression of that game.
Yeah, I think I remember that review.
I think in that regard, Digimon Cyber Sleuth definitely sets itself out, is different enough. It is not a tide yourself over to next Pokemon thing. Whether that's, I not quite saying it is as good or better than Pokemon games, because they're extremely well polished, but it is definitely different enough to attract a completely different audience, I think. But yeah, the gameplay. I like it. That's what the gameplay I really like. Because there are two main aspects, and it's that you're your Digimon in the Digifarm continue to Digivolve, and continue to level while you don't need to have them in your party to level them. And combined with the fact that Digivolution in this game is, I mean, like most Digimon games, is not set. It's not the canonical, the anime canon Digivolution lines. There are lots of different options, and it gives you a lot of choice, and you basically have complete control over how they Digivolve, and you choose, you go through the tree, and Digimon are kind of not that unique in that regard, because I mean, I don't know if they all share the same Digivolution tree, or if they're a couple of different separated trees.
They branch.
Right, they all branch, but like, is there one root? I don't think there's one common origin.
No.
Right, there are like 3 or 4 different fresh or baby one Digimon. So they don't all. It's not all one tree. It's a couple of different trees. So you can't like, you can't get if you get an Agumon, you can't make the Agumon turn to anything else. But you can turn it into like a large number of them, a large number of Digimon by going back and forth between Digivolutions. And that aspect I find really cool, combined with the fact that you can level them while they're in the farm. So you can basically just have like 10 Digimon exploring the evolution lines, which is an interesting aspect of exploration that I've not seen in games before. And the other thing I like about it is the type system is, like I was aware of in the games, the vaccine data virus triumvirate rock paper scissors dynamic. But I was expecting that. What I didn't expect is that you have a reserve. So you have 3 main Digimon in your party that fight in battles, and then you have a reserve of, I can't remember, 8 reserve Digimon.
It's like,
I think it's 11 total.
it's 11.
Yeah, so there are 8 reserve Digimon. Most of the time that's limited by how much you have to you have a limited number of memory that you can use.
A limited, memory.
Based on like the strength of your Digimon and stuff. But anyway, the generation of Digimon. But yeah, so you have a bunch of you can have several different Digimon to swap in. So, if you're up against a data Digimon, you can swap in 3 virus Digimon. And then, or if you're up against like a data and a virus, you can put in the 3 vaccines to take down the virus. And then once you take on the virus, swap in, I forget what I said, but swap in a different 3 to fight the other. So like, I like the aspect of swapping in that adds. I find that really cool. Those are my impressions of the gameplay. Ashley, what do you think of the gameplay?
It's good. I think that there's like some level of, I don't know, like having to de-digivolve Digimon is kind of stressful for me. There's a lot of things going on with the digivolving and de-digivolving.
Well, that was also in the DS games.
I do not play handheld games.
Oh,
because I do not have.
But I think what you're saying about like the stressful is just that there are a lot of mechanics in this game and a lot of tutorial screens,
And none of them are helpful.
Right, the tutorial screens do not explain those mechanics very well, even though there are a lot of them.
Yes. What I find more interesting is that there are 2 levels to the types. Like, it also does it by element.
I don't think the elements are that great in this game. Like, for instance, bug and plant Digimon are both bug. It's really, like, there's weird typings like that.
Sure, but there's still, like, there's more strategy than just, like, virus beats data or whatever.
But I actually find that typing frustrating, because, like, that's not prominently displayed anywhere.
It's frustrating for you because you're colorblind, and it's by color.
But yeah, it's by color, but also, like, yeah, I guess if I just knew the vocabulary of those 6 colors or whatever, it would make sense. But I don't know, that's just, yeah, fine. Because, yeah, each Digimon has a little icon that shows whether they're data, virus, vaccine, and it's colored to indicate their elemental type.
Yes.
And I'm mostly just like, oh, this is, I don't know what's going on here. So, Angie, what are your impressions of the gameplay?
Like, having played the 3 DS games that came over to the US, so Digimon World DS, and then Dusk and Dawn.
So were Dusk and Dawn also story games, or were those actually world games in Japan?
Yes, they were basically all the Digimon games for the DS, except for World Championship, were all the story games.
Okay.
We didn't get Lost Evolution, and then the 2 Super Crossword games.
Mm.
But all of them were the storyline. Like, there's a lot that's improved over from the other story games, but I feel like some of the things are a step back. For instance, there's less Digimon, so there's not as much variety, especially early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they could have taken the chance to like upgrade like the levels and stuff. Like all these areas, like so far I've been playing for 20 hours and most of the stuff is either blue and black or white. So it's kind of boring and monotone.
Yeah, I think in addition to the monotonous, it's like the same, it's not just like colors, it's like the same like Kowloon area is like where you are for like a significant portion of the time, and like you like backtrack to the same levels of that, and then there's also like these extra little dungeons, and they're always the same aesthetics, just like laid out a little differently, and so it just feels like you're always in the same place. There's not really, I don't know.
And then the Digi Farm, like I feel like is also a step back because it's so complicated to like upgrade your farms nowadays in Cyber Sleuth. Nowadays.
Back in my day, Digimon Farm was easy to upgrade.
No, like, but there were like punching bags and other stuff to like increase the stats of your Digimon, and I haven't run into something like that except for the items that you can buy from the store in the whatever that place is called. What's the place, Mirai?
Oh, in the Digilab?
The Digilab. Like all those items just raise the stats of one specific type of Digimon.
Yeah, I find it, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, not confusion, there's a lot of like mechanics that I feel like we're not properly explained. Also,
like there's a lot of mechanics that work really well. It's just some of them worked better in past games and made more sense. And were easier to use.
I don't know if I like that, but what I find acceptable about all those mechanics not being explained is that like they're not necessary, and I just ignore them kind of. Like I use the Digifarm as a place that like my Digimon magically reach max level and then I can Digivolve them.
Digimon them.
Yeah, so and just like it's just a place I put. Maybe as I approach later in the game, I'll try to invest more into training them properly and stuff. But I'm sure you really need to if you're going to play competitively. But I like how you can kind of like it has all these complicated mechanics, but you can also just ignore that part.
But the one thing I miss the most from the DS games are the little skits that happen in your Digifarm while you're on quests.
Oh, was that like the second screen was always a Digimon farm?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so like while you're doing everything else in the game, you always had the Digimon farm visible.
Yeah, you can always keep track of what's going on in the Digifarm. But what's disappointing in Cyber Sleuth is that entire feature is basically the Digiline.
The Digiline.
Like all those little skits turned into just text for the Digiline, and it's kind of annoying. Like I've gotten multiple questions like who's the mind-controlled Digimon with red eyes? I'm like, this question again? Okay.
Yeah, the questions I find, at least, like there are so many things that you can reply to where it's just you just hit X a couple times and like there's no choice. It's just like you just hit reply to reply with a canned response. And at least the questions have some thinking involved. But yeah, they repeat. They're not very interesting questions. There are bugs, and sometimes the question is just wrong. Like the correct answer is just wrong. I'm not clear if there's like a reward mechanic for getting the right or not. Like,
there isn't. It's just something to waste time.
I was hoping like their camaraderie with that Digimon would raise or something, but so that's even more. I mean, I don't know. I appreciate the theming of it being this like line-esque chat messaging thing. Like it's a cool thing. It's just in execution is kind of frustrating, and not just with the Digimon too. Like the Digimon can talk to you, but also your mother and your friends and your all the characters in the game can basically send you text messages and then you can reply and stuff. But like. I didn't have a special section for this, but I think there are a lot of problems with the localization, and I think those shine through the most in the Digiline because what I've seen passed around as a theory, and I think makes a lot of sense, is that these Digiline messages may not have been translated with proper context. You know, like when you have a script of like a scene, it's a lot easier to make things make a lot of sense in context. But like these messages, I think may have been translated without that context, and so
basically real life text messages.
No, I mean like there are a lot of times when I took a screenshot of a couple of them.
Don't make sense.
It's like it's like total non sequiturs. Like I'll say the person will say one thing, and my one response I'm gonna reply with makes no sense in that context, and no reply with something makes even less sense. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I think the mom said something like, I hope like, what are you doing tomorrow? And then
did you have breakfast?
Yeah, and then I can't remember exactly. It was like total non sequiturs. It was ridiculous. And it's frustrating because I think the Digiline is a really cool idea. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And like, you actually have interactions with your mom, your character's mom, and like that's cool. Except it's in practice not. And also the friends, the two high school friends that just come out of nowhere and just like, oh yeah, we did not introduce these characters, but they exist apparently. Anyway.
Yeah.
Digiline is definitely the worst part of this game.
I mean, I don't mind it.
It is very constantly there too. Like it's like you have a new message every 5 minutes.
I mean, at least you could just ignore the messages. You could just be like, okay, whatever. And there is one gameplay specific useful case for Digiline, which is when your Digimon reaches a max level in the Digifarm array texts you.
Basically, that's the only thing that saves the... Basically, the Digiline saves the Digifarm, and Digifarm saves the Digiline.
I feel like it's kind of like the carrot to tempt you into using Digilines. Like, you need to check them because it might be one of those messages. And most of them it's not. And you're like, okay, whatever. Wide open this menu. But if you really hate it, then you could just not. Like, a lot of the games have a thing where, like, you get a new whatever and there'll be like a badge on that menu item and you can't get rid of that badge until you go view the thing. And so it doesn't do that. Like, you get the little badge saying there's a new one to whatever, how many new text messages. If you ignore it, it just goes away. Like, you have to open the menu and you go to the menu, it doesn't show like Digiline 5 new messages. You can just completely ignore it, which is also kind of a problem because if you miss that message, you might not notice that there was one if you were distracted. How do you all feel about graphics?
Well, do you mean graphics or the visual style?
Yeah, so I'm incorporating visual style too.
Because honestly, graphics don't matter.
I guess graphics, I am surprised by how good it looks on PS4.
I've been mostly playing on the Vita.
Yeah, I've been mostly playing on Vita too.
And it's not bad, but there's like frame rate issues in comparison.
Yeah, definitely frame rate issues on the Vita that don't exist on the PS4. Like, it's doing the same thing. Like, oh wait, this was so much smoother on the PS4.
I've only played on the PS4.
Yeah, I think it's prettier than I expected in terms of like graphics, in terms of polygons and stuff.
I will give the game this. It is definitely better looking than the DS games.
Well, yeah, it should be after like 10 years.
But it's just so monotone most of the time, so it's kind of boring.
I think it puts me to sleep. Like, I play it. I try to be like, I'm going to play it for like an hour at 10:30 at night, and I'm like, I can't. I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about, like the monotoneness and like everything's bluish background or whitish background. And I find that because like I do a lot of aspects of the visual style I really, really like. Like, I really like the character design, a lot of the aesthetic, a lot of the graphic design of the menus, and not the like the main menu, but the title screen and stuff. A lot of graphic design I really like in it. But then it feels like it's employed in ways that makes it feel dull and the same colors all over the place. Anyway, the only other aspect of graphics I want to discuss was the translation of Digimon to 3D models and how I think it was done well or not.
It's very done well.
Yeah. I think Guillomon's animation's the cutest.
It's not the first 3D Digimon game, so it's not that exciting.
Yeah, it's not like this is... Yeah, I'm approaching it from the perspective of someone who has not played the other ones, and I think a bunch of listeners are too. So yeah, it's not like it's original for this, but like, how is it done well in this version? And yeah, I think my actual initial impression was fairly low because I chose Terriermon as the starter. And by the way, starter means so little because they digivolve very soon, and we can de-digivolve them back, and you can whatever.
You can basically have a whole team of Terriermons.
Yeah, but yeah, so Terriermon, I think Terriermon is like probably the worst example. So, because he falls in this weird uncanny valley where like the graphics they're good enough that they look very they look anime-esque. Like they're
cell shaded.
Yeah, they're cell shaded. They look very nice, but like I think Terriermon's ears are fundamentally untranslatable to this kind of format because there's a lot of stuff that you can do with animation. I'm sure it was tough to do to animate the ears moving around on floppy lake, but with polygons and stuff, it's just like Terriermon's ears have like 2 joints, I think. So it just looks very mechanical and weird when his ears move around, and like he is very expressive because of the movement of his ears and the floppiness of them, and like when you can't really translate that, it's just like, okay, Terriermon, you look cute. Oh wait, don't move. If we move, it's kind of the illusion is I can see through the illusion. And contrasted to like, and I didn't actually get a Hagurumon, but I imagine that would be a much better translation of it because it's like, it has like the gears as arms or whatever, and like those can do anything in a 3D model. Anyway, I think most of the Digimon, they handle it well, and it's just Terriermon is unfortunate because it can't really... I feel like it was kind of an unfortunate choice for a starter in that regard. Like maybe they should have chosen one that, can be done really well in 3D, but I guess Terriermon's a fan favorite, so... And they want to reserve Agumon and Gabumon.
But if there's one thing I miss about this game, it's the sprites from the DS games. Like, there actually are sprites in this game.
Yeah, when they turn into the dot status thing.
Yeah. So I like how they actually nod to it. It's just the one problem with this is you can't have Digimon like dot Agumon or the other ones.
But yeah, so there's a mechanic that is, it's kind of, I'm used to Final Fantasy, and it's like the equivalent of Final Fantasy Mini status, and it's dot, and they turn into a pixelated form. So yeah, you see the sprite, and I think it's a really cool theming of that mechanic. I'm not sure. I'm assuming this is in the previous games too. But it's unfortunate. Like, I wish, it's upsetting because like they have all these sprites for all the Digimon to do that. It'd be nice if you could see them in anything. And now on to sound, general sound design, music, anything in that category. Ashley, what do you think?
I mean, it's okay. It gets a little repetitive. I like the battle music. It has a little bit of a like dancey vibe at points. Then it goes away and becomes uncool.
Andrew?
Sound design wise, some of the music reminds me of Danganronpa for some reason.
Oh no, I mean it's the same composer.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
well, that explains everything.
Yeah, it's especially the title. The title music is, I think, the one that's the most like. This is like, I can't place exactly what is so similar about it. It's basically like this feels exactly like, and I'm now used to it. But at first I was like, wait, this is just a remix Danganronpa song.
But yeah, like sound wise, it's just more of the same, I guess.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like some Digimon have voices, I think, but I'm not sure.
Do you mean the like when you do like the cross combo thing?
Just during battle,
I've noticed when you do a cross combo thing, I think like your avatar talks or something. Or maybe it's a Digimon. I'm not sure.
No, like I have Grap Leomon on my team, and I am definitely sure Grap Leomon's voice is not the protagonist's voice because it's kind of deep.
Interesting. My impression of the sound design and music is it's pretty good, but also kind of mediocre. But then there are a couple standout songs like the title card music, and I can't remember really. I think it was like background music during one of the Akihabara sections, and it has like a vocal track. There are cool aspects of it, but like nothing really stands out while playing. Be like, oh my god, this track is awesome. And I imagine once I finish playing the game, I'll like get the soundtrack. Because I hope it's available to purchase legally, but I'm sure it won't be because that rarely even happens with very popular Japanese games. But
no, most games get OSTs and stuff.
Okay, I guess maybe not rarely, but like I would be really surprised if
they just don't get released here, except the Final Fantasy games.
I guess I was confusing with like there are things that are released in the Japanese iTunes store digitally. I can get easily, like I can buy easily from the US, and anyone can basically if you buy the cards let you do it. But there are a lot of Japanese soundtracks that are not released digitally. So yeah, I guess there's a lot of stuff that's released physically, and it's impossible to get that importing for crazy amounts of money.
But the most surprising thing sound wise, I'm surprised they didn't dub this.
I mean...
But then again, it is Bandai Namco.
Yeah, I don't know what their track record is with this kind of stuff, but it makes sense.
I feel like lately they haven't been dubbing games.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think it makes sense to me from the perspective of like I think it's the same reason why, I don't know, I assume Try is going to be dubbed eventually. I think it kind of has to be, given the excitement around it. But I think it's the reason why like there isn't that much clamoring for a dub, because a lot of the people who grew up with dubs, like if they're trying to attract the like general anime fan, like a lot of fans grow up and stop watching dubs and start watching subs. So I think that kind of tempers there needs to be a dub sentiment a little bit. There are definitely people who aren't anime otaku, whatever, who would prefer a dub. But yeah, I'm not surprised by this not getting a dub because it's like such a big such a big cost saving measure, and for something that's like basically testing the waters. I'm just thankful we got it in the first place.
Testing the waters after testing the waters.
But I mean, I've never played a game that had dialogue in a different language, if there was spoken dialogue. Yeah,
I think it's kind of the first for me because I tried to play. I had heard really good things about Final Fantasy XIV's Japanese voices and very like not good things about their English voices. So, and there's an option to swap out the dub in Final Fantasy XIV. So I tried playing with Japanese voices, and I found it really odd to like, I'm used to listening to Japanese voices while reading subtitles, but I found it really odd with a gameplay text, and so I stopped. But now playing this, I find it normal because I did it once before. So I don't know. I guess it was kind of new to me, but now I'm used to it.
I mean, I don't find it that strange because I mostly just like read the text, and if it's faster than how they spoke it, I like don't care. Just click X.
Yeah, I've tried to like savor what they're saying and like try to like parse the Japanese words if I recognize things. It just takes so long, and it's just like not the natural cadence because like sometimes I'll be like, oh wait, at the end of the sentence, is there more coming? Oh wait, and yeah, so
especially Nokia is always like very emphatic and like goes on forever but saying the same thing, and I'm like, I don't care, Nokia.
Really? You think Nokia is the one who, I mean, Kyoko rambles all the time.
She rambles, but Nokia is just like like I don't care.
Yeah, I don't particularly like Nokia so far. story, I guess I had characters separate, but yeah, I think story and characters are kind of intertwined. But I think we're not going to spoil anything about the story because we're not that far into it anyway. But also, I don't want to.
The story needs more Digimon.
The story needs to make the Digimon make any sense in it.
Really, I think I really like the theming, the idea of like how Digimon fit into this universe and how it's like Digimon are basically programs that coexist a lot, like that they're seen as virus programs. I mean, I think it's really cool. I don't think it's entirely pulled off effectively, and there are lots of not holes in the story, but a lot of like, I don't know. My general impression of the game is that it doesn't have much polish, and that's not like saying it's bad or anything. It's just like compared to a lot of other games I play that are very polished, it is unpolished in a lot of ways. And one of those ways is story. And especially localization, it seems. I mean, I can't compare to the Japanese, so maybe the Japanese was a little like just as awkward in the same aspects, but it just doesn't like, the story doesn't feel extremely compelling. And I've heard it gets more compelling, so I'm excited for that.
Hopefully.
But a lot of times I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to get through this. Okay, sure. I think it also ties into the characters because a lot of the I can't really think of, there's one character who I find compelling, and the rest I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I suppose you can't tell us
Who the character is?
Yeah.
No, I mean, and she's like in the first mission. I mean, the character I find compelling is Yuko, and
Wait, which one's Yuko?
the I don't know how to describe her.
The friend?
No, you meet her in the hospital.
Oh, her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of boring.
I mean, but she's kind of boring, but like there's more to, there's a mystery around her, I guess. So I'm intrigued. Whereas a lot of the other characters are just like, I don't know. So you start off the game with basically talking to two other people. The main character talks to two other people in a chat room and then meets them outside the chat room for the first time. It's still inside the digital realm, whatever. But then like immediately after, like and something goes down and when that happens. And then after that, you just like treat those two people you met for the first time recently as like these really close friends. And I mean, they're implied to have been in the chat room for a while, but then they just like, so they go from being in the chat room to meeting with their like avatars online in a physical online space. And then after that, they just meet all the time in person as if it's totally normal. Like, oh yeah, now we're just super, like, what, when did you just basically just met, like what? And they're also like these two high school friends that like come out of nowhere, and the main character's like, oh, and they're like, yeah, I thought you moved, and you're like, no, and they're like, okay. And it's just kind of odd. And there's a lot of dialogue. The dialogue to enjoyment dialogue ratio is not very high. I've started to see I started to see hints at really compelling aspects of the story that I'm excited for.
And speaking of story, the cutscenes are weird.
In what way?
Because you have like the actual scene, but then you have like in the foreground you would see the characters that are talking. So the background, which is like the game screen, would freeze, and then this other stuff will happen in front of it. And I can understand that working on the Vita, but it's on the PS3, it's like really weird.
I guess I find it kind of normal.
I mean, PS4.
Yeah.
Wrong system.
I guess I didn't find that too bizarre. There are definitely, if you play on PS4, there are definitely aspects where it feels like, oh, why can't, oh, right, because it's a Vita game. You know, like moving the camera. It's like, it feels really awkward that you're not able to like really adjust the camera aside from zooming in or out on PS4.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, right, because this is a Vita and it's meant to be a really tiny viewport, and that makes sense. You really wouldn't. I mean, there are plenty of Vita games where you can move the camera, but it's more acceptable to not be able to move it there. Yeah. I don't know. It's like what I'd heard about the story was that it was like extremely good, and my impression so far is not that.
Well, it's definitely better than the DS games that I've played.
People have a weird definition of extremely good.
but I think it's also, I think maybe I'm just saying expectations too high, but I think there's more to the story later on that might make it more worthy of that bar.
Well, it is definitely more complicated than the DS games, because the DS games were basically good versus evil, normal Digimon stuff.
Yeah, but I remember the DS, Digimon World DS was just like, you're a tamer, don't you want to be the best tamer? Let's do that. Oh, and there are these bad guys too.
In Dusk and Dawn, there were rival groups going at each other, and
so it's Pokemon
eventually
games.
It gets really complicated, but not complicated like Cyber Sleuth is seeming to get.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the story. And I think the way that Digimon, there's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, but like there's like aspects of magic in this game and stuff that's just like, oh, magic, digital in this? I don't know, digital waves. Like it's very hand waved, which kind of frustrates me. But aside from that, like I think the setting of Digimon exists, like it's much more in the real world than any other Digimon thing. that makes sense. Like even Adventure Zero Two, they're mostly in the real world, but there's no they do allude to there being a digital world like we're used to in this game. But for the most part, Digimon exists as programs within our constructed online spaces. So it's much more about like Digimon in what we consider the real world, which I find interesting.
What I want to know is, do people literally go into the internet all the time?
Oh, wait, no, okay. So one of my biggest complaints about the story is just how it's very vague about some details. I think it takes a lot of shortcuts it uses a lot of the same visual language as Summer Wars and Our War Game. And I think it kind of uses that as a shortcut to explain what's actually going on.
No, because it's definitely implying that people go into the internet physically.
Not, like, they refer to it as virtual reality in the beginning.
Well, virtual reality right now is wearing a headset.
Right, so that's why, like, I assume that, because I mean, the main character has the ability to, like, is a digital body that can manifest in the real world. I think that's a unique thing where he can actually go into the Eden, to the digital space.
No, the thing about him, he can go to Eden through anything.
So you think that, like, most people are able...
Wow, you're gendering the main character. I'm playing as a lady.
Oh, well, sorry, I've been playing as a guy. But as long as you go to a terminal for Eden, it seems to imply that you can go into the game, into the Eden.
Oh, so yeah, that makes sense. Like, I was like, what do the terminals do for normal people?
Because there's definitely a time when you chase someone you're going after into Eden.
I remember like chasing someone in, or if someone following you or something. I was like, this doesn't make sense. I guess that makes, but like it also physically it doesn't. They don't explain the fact that you can like convert someone's body. So
it's just really weird.
Yeah, compared to like Summer Wars, which is very specific about like they have these digital avatars, but everyone's really controlling them on like DSs and cell phones and stuff. Like,
well, that's also the same with the Phantasy Star anime.
I don't know anything about that.
It's okay. You're not missing much.
But yeah, I mean, it has like that. That's an aspect of like what I consider the lack of polish to the story. It's like big holes like that where you're just like, this doesn't exactly make sense, and I feel like you're not explaining it because you know it doesn't make sense. You don't want to poke holes in your own logic.
Just don't think about
right,
it,
it's like,
and you'll be fine.
Saying don't think about it, I'm like that's sad that you have to hide that, but like don't think about it. Actually, I don't think we've heard your impressions of the story and characters.
I mean, I mostly feel like the story is very disjointed and is just like, I don't know, we need to shove some Digimon into it. So, like, the main characters get vaguely tricked into becoming hackers in the beginning. And it's just like, what? I don't.
Yeah, there's, like, barely any Digimon for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike the other story games where there's literally Digimon everywhere and you can talk to them.
And then I have difficulty. Like, the main story is that you're trying to get your own body back, right?
You're basically playing dot hack. And it is one of the lingering threads that is set up early on.
I just don't even know, like, what
I think there's no driving, like, the structure of the story is, like, you become an assistant at a detective agency, and then it's, like, you investigate things. And I think still where I am is kind of just, like, you wait for stuff to roll in, and then you investigate it. There's no, like, there's very little, it's not like an RPG story where, like, you're going from town to town, like, you're on this quest, and you feel a very strong sense of progression. It doesn't really have that sense of progression. It's just, like, things are happening. And I think as you get towards the end, there's going to be more, maybe not progression, like, physically, but more of a, like, serialized story, I guess. But that's my guess. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely starting off where you're just, like, there are some lingering there are a bunch of lingering mysteries. I started taking notes of, like, all the lingering mysteries, and they're just kind of up in the air until later.
I guess the problem is that there's no sense of real urgency from anybody.
Yeah, because I think it's also like a hangout kind of experience.
Excuse me while I go fix the air conditioner.
Oh, the air conditioner.
Oh, gosh. Ugh.
Okay, so I think we should wrap it up with our final impressions of our first impressions. Any other final points? And what's your, like, lasting impression so far?
Overall, I love the game, but I just can't help feeling disappointed. Like, there should be more.
I mean, there is more.
No, I mean, like all the aspects. I feel like there should be more. Because we've got, like, there's only 240 Digimon, which is, like, less than even Digimon World /Story 3DS. There's, like, 60 less. It's just, like, why couldn't you fit in all these Digimon?
Yeah, I mean, I know, I sympathize with that stance about the lack of Digimon, but I'm also just like, from my perspective, having not played those games, it just feels like there are like countlessly many of them.
No, but like staples like Airdramon are not even in this game.
Yeah, but I mean, Digimon is a world that has like so many staples. Like I think some staples are going to have to be left out, and I still feel a sense like
No, but is there a reason why we have like 6 Numemon variations?
I don't know. I mean, I still get the sense from playing it and seeing new Digimon. Like there's always a sense of like, oh wait, that Digimon in this, cool. You know, like, and I think that's the most important aspect for me is like not going and being like, okay, yeah, it's just these basic Digimon like I expected. And maybe my expectations are just lower, and that's why I'm surprised by a lot of Digimon being in it.
Okay, but anyway, overall, I feel like they took a lot of steps forward and then just as much steps back.
Yeah.
But I still love the game.
Yeah, I find that hard in framing my critique because I'm like, I still really like it. I have plenty of complaints. And I think that's the theme of my impression is that like I really like it. I have a lot of complaints because feels like it's lacking a lot of polish, but that it's also not the kind of game where that polish is the deciding factor like it is for a lot of more mainstream games. Like the fact that it is Digimon is like kind of like you have a game that's like not very polished and like a pretty good game, add Digimon to it, and like that game becomes so much more meaningful to people who already have an existing emotional attachment to Digimon the franchise.
Right.
Yeah, so I have lots of complaints, but I still think it's really good and totally worth playing. And I mean, I'll have more thoughts once I actually finish the story and I'm like, can evaluate the story and the game as a whole. But yeah, Ashley, what are your final impressions so far?
I mean, I'm like, this is fun, but I don't get addicted to it like I did with Final Fantasy Tactics or 12 or something, where I'm like, I need to play more. I need to play for like 8 hours straight. I don't know. And it feels, because I normally like to play platformers, like it feels like I could have been, you know, like halfway or a third through a Ratchet and Clank game or something right now, and I would have had a lot more fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a really long game to that. Any final thoughts?
We should say what our current teams are.
My team is very fluid. Like I'm not investing very strongly in like 3 Suzuki Digimon or 11 or whatever. Like I'm just like, you know, let me just Digivolve everyone to what seems cool, and then
No, just mention what Digimon you have.
But it's so fluid. I mean, I guess I found that the Black Agumon and Black Gabumon that you get from the DLC, their champion, I believe, like Black Garurumon and Greymon are really good. I like them.
Yeah, but the only problem with them putting them as DLC is they're kind of in the game. I mean, like, you don't need an extra Black Agumon and Black Gabumon because you can get their Digivolutions and stuff.
You mean like the black versions or the normal ones?
The black versions.
I think the Digivolutions are DLC unlocks too.
Well, they're DLC unlocks, but they give you an extra for each one.
I think it made sense because it's like you use the Black Agumon you get to go through that line. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember what else I even have. Anyway, my strategy is to like go through all the Digivolutions, just Digivolve whenever possible, and then not whenever, like once they get to max level, and then once I've done that, take stock of like who the strongest ones are for each type, and then move them in my party. So keep moving things in and out.
The Digimon that are currently on my team are Canon Beamon. Is that right?
I don't know what that is.
It's before Tiger Vespamon.
So you're going for a specific target in mind.
Yeah, I go for targets in mind. So right now I have Grappleomon, Xvmon, Canon Beamon, Lilymon, who was my starter, Wormmon, so I can DNA devolve the 2, and then Waymon, which actually is good because he every turn he will increase the SP for your Digimon, so you get SP back every turn.
That's pretty cool. I haven't been able to find a Wormmon because I have like a Xvmon that I want to DNA Digivolve with, but I don't have.
But yeah, you have to have both at 100% camaraderie.
Yeah. Ashley, who's your team?
I have a Wormmon?
No, is that like you have like 20 Wormmon?
I have a Wormmon.
So who's your party?
Currently, Guillaumon, obviously.
Of course.
Black Garurumon, also obviously. And then Garurumon, and I think I have Darumon in there. That's all I think like before I went to sleep last night, I think I got some more memory, so I could put another one in there, but... Yeah,
I think I have about 60 memory right now.
I only have like 30, so...
Yep, I have exactly 60 right now.
I'm definitely in a place where like I am very excited to play more. But I'm also in a place where I am pressuring myself because I want to finish as fast as possible so I can write a proper full review. So there's that too meddled into my excitement to play more. But yeah. And now we're going to close off the episode with a quote from Jaden Smith from his interview, along with Willow Smith from New York Times. And Jaden said, "It's proven that how time moves for you depends on where you are in the universe. It's relative to beings and other places. But on the level of being here on Earth, if you are aware in a moment, 1 second can last a year." And on that note, let us know what you thought of this episode in our comments at podages.com/011. Or check out podages.com/011 to get detailed notes for all the characters, links, and media we referenced.
Podages is made possible with the support from our awesome Patreon, including Amanda Angelman, Andre Ledukman, David Grauman, Eric Angemon, Joe Keto, Jock, Santa Agumon, Kai Lunaman, Sam Kruagaman, and Stephen Panaman.
If you want to become a Patreon and support the show, you can join Patreon Party, our private Slack chat group, for $1 a month. You can get monthly stickers for $5 a month, and you can get early episodes for $10 a month. We also have a lot more rewards and goals, so check out patreon.com/podages.
You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, or Facebook to keep up with the Digimons and get funny images and gifs related to the show. You can find me on Twitter at JeffOnlyJeff. You can find Ashley
AshleyD00 on Twitter.
and Andrew
PhantomCelloSteph at tumblr.com.
You can also find links to all of our social media accounts at podages.com.
Our Calamon artwork is by the awesome Mary Cagle. She's Cube Watermelon on Tumblr and Twitter. And you should also check out her webcomics, Let's Speak English, Sleepless Domain, and Kiwi Blitz.
Share the podcast with your friends or coworkers who ask you, "Hey, did you hear that there's a new Digimon game?" Even though obviously you have, because you host a podcast about the series and everyone has been really excited about it for the past year.
Next time on Podages, I normally have this scripted, but we have a lot of episodes in the pipeline. I don't even know what's going to come out next. Other things we have coming up are the feedback episode for The Last Tamers, so that would be episode 304.5, and the next Tamers episode 305, coming out soon. Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.
And remember, never stop digivolving. Do 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 do. The aspect that I really like my voice. The aspect of it that what's wrong with my voice?
Is it a Digimon?
Yeah, it's a digital. My voice is digital, and
Even though obviously you have, because you host a podcast about the series and everyone has been really excited about it for the past year.
I like how I wrote both of these about my own experiences, and then I wasn't the one to read either of them.
Wow. No, people at work have more asked me, they're like, "Ashley, like, Digimon is old. Like, what is your podcast about? It's not currently coming out." I'm like, first of all, we do cover the old episodes.
Yeah, I'm so
Second of all,
confused
it
by, like,
actually is currently coming out.
I'm so confused, like, why the fact that, like it's not a new thing. It's not like a weird thing for us to be covering old stuff. Like,
Yeah, it confuses me because they talk about, like, Gilmore Guys all the time. Like, it's the same thing. Like,
Except Gilmore Girls is getting a new
yeah, but that started after.
sure, but, like, that's...
It's the same thing for
happening
us.
with
Like, we
Digimon.
started it and then found out about Try halfway through.
Yeah.
When you're out on the road, feeling Digimon and Digimon, all you
Okay.
gotta do is Digivolve to champion. Digi
Never
best
again.
friends.
Yeah.
I think I know what happened to the other Digimon in this game.
Other Digimon?
All the missing 60 Digimon or so.
Okay.
They all went into Grappleomon's animation.
I haven't seen. I didn't even know this Grappleemon thing was a thing.
No, but basically,
Does it look really cool?
it's basically a metal Leomon, as in, like, it's a Leomon, but it has armor.
Looks cool.
But it's mechanical armor, and those things on its wrists and ankles are spinning constantly. And that's probably what happened to all the Digimon.
Okay, so now let's sing along Digimon version. Feeling Digimon and Digimon. All you got to do is Digivolve to champion.
What the hell is
No one else
this?
is singing along.
I don't know this song.
Wait, you don't recognize? You don't recognize it?
I will
It's the Gilmore Girls song.
It sounds very similar to another song, but it's not that song.
Actually, it was weird. It was like the video I was watching was like a future season, and I'm like, ugh, Suki looks weird.
Spoilers.
La 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 la. Like 10 minutes of la-las in that video. Okay, enough Gilmore Girls.
If there's anything I'm glad we're not doing, I'm glad we're not doing Full House.
I don't even know the Full House song.
Because that's also getting a new season.
Oh, this is totally... So there's one shot of, I don't know, one dude walking up a hill with groceries and stuff. And like, you don't... And he like looks all smiling. He's not sweating at all.
You don't do that.
Right, if you're walking up the hill with groceries, you'd be like covered in sweat and like, what the... Unrealistic.
What are you talking about?
Like, I'm watching the Full House opening, and he's like walking up.
Why are you watching the Full House opening?
Because I was like, I wonder. Bob Saget, you would be sweating if you walked up a hill of groceries. Of course, someone gets on a trolley or a cable car.
Oh yeah, and speaking of more nostalgia, Powerpuff Girls is coming back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't bring anyone back.
Oh.
So it sounds weird. So basically, 2016 is nostalgia.